Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope you're off to a great start. I started my week with a fantastic workout. I was kind of expecting it to be sort of low key and quick, and I ended up just having more time and getting more done. So that's a great way to start Monday for me. Had a great weekend. My daughter had some friends in town. My son played in a basketball tournament. Kind of almost felt normal. It was great. So we've got 2 weeks to go until they get a break from school, and I think we're all just kind of crawling to the end. Let's get there. It's almost time for a little bit of a break and a little bit of a breather. So hope you're in the same boat, and that you're almost there. Take a little break. Hanukkah has completed. We'll run the last day, but last night was the last candle. So my kids got the same gift 4 days in a row. That's what happens when you give them plane tickets. So happy Hanukkah again. You're still taking that trip. So yeah, it's over, but I hope everybody is knee deep in fun, exciting holiday plans. So today, I'm really excited to welcome Ed Alexander of Fan Foundry. Ed and I met on Twitter. We do a lot of the same thing where we serve as the voice of brands behind the keyboard. But where Ed really excels is in the data and understanding insights and analytics and how you can tweak things just a little bit here or there to improve your engagement and your reach. So we're going to bring him on and talk about that. I'm really, really excited about this because I have a feeling that I'm going to learn some here about what we can do. And these are not huge overhauling. Now you've got to buy expensive software. These are small things that every small business can do. So let me tell you a little bit about Ed. Fan Foundry, his agency, is a global digital agency who helps a few leading brands make improvements in their people, process, and technology to make measurable gains in content, conversation, and conversion. I'm excited to bring Ed on. So I'm going to bring him on now. Ed, welcome to the show. We're so glad to see you.
Happy holidays. Nice to see you again. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Ed, let's talk a little bit about who you are and what you do. I know I've read your bio, but tell us in your own words, how'd you get here?
Oh, we only have a few minutes, but I started out as a child. Seriously, though, I think since childhood, it's been something that has probably in the back of my mind never really crystallized, but it's always been an undercurrent. In my teenage years, I played in the rock and roll band. You see the guitar in the background there, and we learned about how to attract people to our concerts by good visual posters and by tweaking the postcards and the mailing addresses and the messaging to build enthusiasm and increase the audience. So that's something that I guess as a teenager you learn that stuff, and then when I rolled into a career in human resources and then moved on into marketing from there, it's always been something that sort of organically followed with me, and I became a bit of a student, a bit of a hobbyist, and the most recent 25 years of my life, I've really been deep diving into the data behind how businesses tick, how their customers tick, and how to meet them and engage them and help them buy and help them be happy and successful as customers. So that's where the whole origin of the name Fan Foundry came from. I was trying to find two alliterative words to describe the business. How do customers happen?
That's awesome. I love that. How do customers happen? I love that. Ed, tell us, where are you from?
Well, I grew up, I'm a native New Englander, always lived by the ocean, always had a boat in the yard. I'm landlocked now, the things you do for love, but still close to the ocean. So I'm 10 minutes north of Boston in the burbs, very leafy. We like like nature. And if I turn my camera to show you out the window, that's what we have. Not much of a view there. It's pretty glaring and sunny. But anyway, we're in the woods.
Well, it's beautiful. I love your accent. It's fantastic.
No,
so let's talk a little bit about being a brand on social. What does it mean, in your words, to really be an authentic, personable brand on social?
Oh, that's a great way of framing it. How to be an authentic brand? Well, the usual bromide is to be yourself, because after all, everyone else is taken. But having said that, you and I each right now on this video are establishing our brands. People are going to be imprinting on our visuality, on our the color of your eyes and the color of your hair and the background of you. It becomes the brand, what you stand for. So you look to improve, to project a quality image. You look to do something that helps people see themselves in you. Be human, be real, be yourself. I could put on a tux, I could get on a stage and pull a rabbit out of the hat, but that's not me. So it's just us conversing. So then how do you turn that into the way you market your business, into your personal presence, into your visual presence, right? Let's turn the page quickly because we only have a few minutes here.
Right. So let's talk about that. So one of the things you really focus on is data. How do you use data and insights to really sort of alter that perception, that persona, to really make things look real or be
Yeah.
real?
Yeah, well, one of the things I was fortunate to partake in working with one of my clients a few years back, they're not a client now, but Fidelity Investments, most people have heard of them. And they have a lab that's killer to die for. I mean, they can invest millions, and they have invested millions in the best talent and people. And I'm lucky to be on that bus. I don't know if I belong, but anyway, there and in the lab, learning how to tweak every single little pixel, every single nuance of color and image and juxtaposition of elements on the screen so that it would work the best for the customer and thereby, of course, for the business. Fascinating stuff. And we learned about how to composite images. And you don't need to buy an Adobe suite, although if you have it, that's nice. You can use ordinary tools like Canva or even PowerPoint. Here's a secret, dirty little secret. I love PowerPoint because you can assemble images on the screen, and most of what's in my demonstrations and in my visual presentations on my own website on the Fan Foundry blog, we've done in PowerPoint. I did it deliberately because I want my clients to be successful, and I want them to be able to do it easily without having to go back to college to learn a whole bunch of tools just to be successful. So really going to, when I say low common denominator, I mean the most accessible, affordable tools. It's probably already on your computer when you buy it today. You don't need to invest another dime. Use the tools you have. I use Paint. Paint 3D. It is not a lot of science behind it, as long as you start with good images and you work on positioning things. I'm going to give you a metaphor. Think about this. If you're a business and you're trying to market yourself, when you're trying to create an attractive composite image, you're probably not going to just hang up at the sign that says we're open and assuming that does your job. You have to put other things in your window, other things in front of people. So I'm going to talk about compositing. And the metaphor I want to use for creating a brand image, brand messaging, is to think about it like a movie poster. We've all seen them. Now, if you've walked by a movie theater, which few still are available, you'll see the posters in the windows. These days, it's on name an online channel.
Netflix.
Netflix has movie posters now, right? You scroll through them. Each of those movie poster images is designed by the best graphics people on the planet. You don't need to go to school for that. Just watch what they do. And it has a composite image. There's different coloring, which might indicate suspense or love or adventure or action or anime or whatever. And the characters are usually shown with either scowl or smile or embracing. There's something going on among the images on the screen and in the colors and in the background that make that movie poster convey to you and me and maybe 3 or 4 sub-audiences the action, the motion, all those things that make me or you see ourselves as wanting to view that movie.
Right. So makes it relatable. Right.
So I've spent a lot of time, and I've got way too much data behind helping large and small brands. I'm dealing with Fortune 50 companies, but also it works for a street store company. Same things apply. It's the same human brain you're appealing to. If I had to draw an image on the screen, how the brain hasn't changed much since cave days. Let's assume this is all the content that's ever been created in the world on all languages across the planet over all time. This white piece of paper contains everything. You can see it. It's all there, right? It's all it's all the stories we've told. It's all the cave paintings. It's all that stuff. This is the passage of time. Let's see. I want to go from left to right across the screen, don't I? So I want to do this.
Yeah, got it.
Mirror image, right? So this is time, and this is all of the content. If you took a look at how much of it is text, ABC, cuneiform, ancient Phoenicians, Greeks, cave painting, our brains have been dealing with storytelling around fires for all these years. 500 million years, BC, all the way up to the present day. So along here, our brains began to think how to use symbols, gang signs, what's a tree look like? What does a bird look like? And we started doing that sort of thing. And then along around here came Gutenberg Press. That was around 1450, I believe. So now you can replicate books. Oh, cool. Well, guess what? Now there are books. And then here we are along around 1985, the advent of the internet, and content has gone like this. So there's this long area of our existence where we've been processing visually. the eyeball to the reaction in the brain is instant. If you can't,
Absolutely.
if you see the tiger in the grass, you run.
Right.
But if you're reading a message that says, "Hey Ed, the sign up ahead, it's a small lettering, but I think it says there might be a tiger in the grass 5 miles ahead. What should I do now?" No one's reading that stuff. We're reacting. Our eyeballs do it. That's why visual imagery is such a connection and why it works no matter what business you're in. Large or small, Main Street or Main Line, visual imagery is going to work for you. You compare that to reading or hearing something, even hearing an auditory file, it takes you a while to process it.
Yeah.
You or I, even as a speaker, have to pause sometimes to let it sink in.
Right.
Then we can go on to the next topic. So that's my story and my point about why visual imagery is so important and why it makes sense to use the cheapest tools out there. You probably already have them. Just spend, I don't know, half an hour once a week as a hobby, learning how to make an image large or small, or change the color or add a caption. Before you know it, inside of 3 to 6 months, you are a visual illustrator and you're going to have engaging graphics and signage and messaging to help draw in your audience in
Absolutely.
ways. That's really
Right.
it. Do that.
And from a social standpoint, we're always talking about stop the scroll. What kind of content do I need to put out to make somebody stop doing this, right? We want them to stop and look at what we have to tell them. And you're not going to do that with text. You're going to do it with a beautiful photo or a beautiful graphic or a video. That's how you get them to stop. And, one of the things we talk a lot about with our clients is stop using stock photography for things like that. For the love, do not put a stock photo on your Instagram account. Oh my gosh. Make sure that you're using your people, you're using your customers, you're writing up these testimonials and making them a beautiful graphic, or you're getting a video testimonial or employee testimonial, which goes a long way right now. A lot of the clients that I've got, they're hiring, and they're it's a challenging time right now to hire people. So you want to put it out there. Why are we so great to work for? So use your people, take some iPhone photos. They don't have to be high res, high professional, especially on social media. For your website, yeah, absolutely. Make those visuals, pretty professional. But on your social, be real. Keep it with your people, tell your story, and use that to stop the scroll.
And what a great way to get conversation started if you actually meet someone on the street or in a meeting, or you get to talk to them on the phone. Their brains are clicking away saying, "I remember Shane's image. I remember her voice, her face in that photograph. I remember her voice on that webcast." Now I feel like I've gotten to know Shane, or I've gotten to know Ed, or I've gotten to know my clients or the business better already. Now,
Right.
the funny thing too is the startlingness about, oh geez, your hair's a lot whiter than it was on that photo. People will do those things too. It's actually kind of funny. You spend a lot of time giggling when you first encounter somebody who they feel like they've gotten to know you, and then they get to meet you for real. It can be a lot of fun.
Right. I actually, just a couple weeks ago, I'm involved with one of our local chambers, and we had, they were kind of like paper plate awards. They were fun awards that they gave out, and they gave one to me and one to my friend Wanda. And it was for the person most surprising in person, because on Zoom, we all look the same height. But when you see us in person, Wanda's about, I think she's 5'10" and I'm 4'8", but on Zoom, we look the same height. So it's makes you real, and you're right. It gives you that personal connection and something to talk about when you actually do see each other. Yeah.
And from there, it's so much easier to personalize your interactions with your customers, and they're more likely to stick with you because they've gotten to know you.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, Ed, I can't thank you enough. This has been fantastic. I thought we were going to get all analytical and into data, but really what we're talking about, every business can be doing this. Every business is capable of showing off your people and making visuals that make sense to the people you're trying to attract. So it was a great lesson today, and I thank you for joining me on Let's Get Real.
My pleasure, Shane. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something great from Ed. Join me next week. My guest is going to be my good friend, Ann Wen. She was supposed to be on a while ago, and then she had to cancel. She had an emergency. So I'm so happy that she's going to be here. She was actually the guest on Madeline Sklar's Twitter Smarter last week. So you can go and learn a little bit about her there. But I'm so excited to welcome her, and looking forward to seeing you then. Until then, have a great week and keep it real.